customers. So it has to be some kind of like in the form of report, right? So again, I will let it run. So you have different options. Either you can run the section, sorry, or maybe you can just click it here. And again, it has also options. So for example, you can hide the code also. Let's say like here is option, hide code. You just share the results. That is also fine. But for now, I want to show you code because so you will get the idea. So now we access the data. As you see, we have done like 3-4 times checking if we have accessed the right data or not. So from the source Excel file to MATLAB live script. Now, so once I will just put some comments here. So what we are doing. So for example, we are, let's say like title, kind of like data analysis using flight data. So, and then let's say like I put this setting as import data. So this is very useful whenever you share with the people who haven't worked on this. So they will get intuitively the documentation and then they can understand what's going on. So once you access the data, so next thing is very important to visualize. So to check the data. So you might have used the plot, right? But today we are talking about low code. So what we'll do. So that's where comes this task very handy. So here it gives you create plot. So let me make it bigger. If you see here, it is giving you like plethora of options, like lot number of like different options. So let's access our data, flight data. So we have time access. Then let's say like I want to do some normal line plot across, let's say like I go with oil pressure sensor data. Automatically it's generating the plots here. So if you see here one this option, I can get the control code. So kind of like the code along with these control options. So I'm not writing single line of command, if you can see here. So we'll come this later. So one thing you see, there is some sensor dropouts happening. So since it is MATLAB, the plots are not static. So you can do pretty lot of things with this. So just to see what's going on. So in normal scenario, it's not possible to get the sensor dropouts to 0. So this is something visual checks one can do what's going on with my data. So something I need to address this, right? Then let's see what's happening with other sensor data. I now check with oil temperature. So we see kind of like sensor dropouts are happening. So which is not normal. So this is something one can get through visual checks. So since this is flight data, so it's important we can see from where the flight is starting and where it is going, because that is kind of like make more sense, right? So for that, I can, let's say, like go with this latitude and longitude. So maybe like, let me, sorry, longitude and latitude. But this is kind of like giving me information what I want. But this doesn't give me full picture, right? Because as I said, this is the flight data from Halifax near to Canada to the Detroit, kind of like one of the US location. The data is, but I can't see from this graph, and that's where I need to see some different plots. So again, it gives you different options. So let me fix this again. Latitude, right? So as I said, this data or the flight data is from this Halifax to Detroit, but we see one issue here is the data logger is not stopped. So there is some issue. That's why the flight is indicating it's going to the west of Africa. And this is something we need to address also, right? So how we do that? So let's see. Still, it doesn't give me good look and feel, right? Now it's better than that line plot, but it's still not giving me the way we see our like maps and all those things. It's not giving me because the base geoplot uses two-tone approach. So let's say like we stay with this, and what I should do. So I do need to just adjust this. The best thing to go ahead is with our documentation. So that's something we keep standard across all our functionality, and they give us like various options, like how you can use this functionality from MATLAB. So and it gives you different options also. Let's say, for example, I pass latitude, longitude, or different very kind of like parameters. And this is what gives me more intuitive like information about that flight data. So maybe like I need to adjust some geo-based map, or let's say like you are doing different analysis on like kind of like with this street analysis, then you will be using that different base map, right? Geo-based map streets. Likewise, so this is very useful documentation page. So what I will do, I'll just copy that geo-based map. Okay, and I can add a little bit beautification. So for example, line width, for example. So it's kind of like tab space in your keypad. You just need to just do tab space. It will give you different options which you can use. Now, let me run. Now, if you see, it's far better than what we had, but still we have issues here that this flight data is kind of like suggesting me this flight is going to west of Africa, but that's not the case. So this is something we saw three issues. One is like those oil sensor data kind of like dropping to zero, then oil pressure, then and this one. So what we should do, right? So first thing now, as I said, we are modeling this true airspeed. And if you see, this is what the beauty of accessing the data in the tabular. So it gives you so a lot of such options to do directly with your data. You don't need to write, so automatically it will take care of writing code for you. So it's not possible to have true airspeed kind of like zero, right? So what I will do, like I'll just truncate that. So starting with 10, that's something I will, and I'm not considering this nans. One can do that, but for now so if you see, the code is updated automatically. So let me adjust that. Why 10? It's just kind of like random number I'm choosing to see if I can fix my problem. So because the sensor logger has made some mistake and it was kept live, and now my flight is the journey is looking good. So it's coming from Halifax to Detroit, not going to West Africa. But if you see that number 10, I choose randomly, and that should not be case, right? And that's where the controls come into picture. So I want to play with this number with over the range of values. So how you do that? So let's say like these are different controls. So you select from when you go to live editor in the control option, and you can configure them. So let's say like minimum value is 0. I put max value of true airspeed 400 with the range of 10. Like whenever I like click, it will go with, and not only this section, but let's say like I want to change all section after changing value. So if I go 0, we have that original problem what we had, right? And let me just come on. Now this is not anymore. So I can play with this number. I don't need to kind of like put for loop to carry out. So I can analyze that data or the this range of values. So let's see, we don't have issue with 10. I'll just stay with this. So we fixed that one issue, but still we have two more issues. So it's not for today's demo. I'm just staying with this subset of issues, but you in your day-to-day projects, you can see more such kind of like analysis, in-depth analysis to see what kind of issues you can see in your data before you go for model development. So what we should do now to clean the data. So because we saw there are like sensor dropouts, there might be another also such issues in the data which I'm not aware of. So either I can do this programmatically. So like there are like one-line commands to like fix missing values, like remove nans or maybe like some outliers. But since we want to do this low code approach, if you go into this home tab, you will see this tool called clean data, and all our such these apps, they generate MATLAB code for you. So you don't need to write the code specifically to do that. So that makes your life a little bit easier. So let's access that data. So for example, which we are working on, and you get various range of different algorithms or approaches like clean missing data, clean outlier, normalize, regularize. This is something very, so all are important, but regularize, for example, you are based off Turkey and you have your customers in different geographical locations. It may happen that they have access data with different time stamp range. And let's say like one is hourly based, one is minute based. So how you can regularize in order to use that data set. That's where the regularization come into picture, and you have also both different options. And here you get this statistical information of all your variables. So in one place altogether, like how it is happening, what is the minimum value, kind of like this information also is useful when you are creating your own, let's say like uh, based on that statistical information, the algorithm development. So now we want to work on this oil pressure and oil temperature. So let's see, I want to just work on clean outlier. You can do pretty much many things, not only just one. And it's loading those all kind of like basic parameters kind of like along with the data. So which, for example, we are working on this oil pressure and oil temperature. So maybe it's look better here. Let's say like I want to, you can remove outliers, fill outliers. The different methods are there. Kind of like, let's say like I want to go linear interpolation, for example, or moving median. So it's kind of like we have documentation for this also, how you can use. So for example, let's say like I want to have window of uh, kind of like 100 data points. It will pass that algorithm within that data. And let's say like this is randomly I'm checking how you want to see the data. And what's happening here is like, for example, we had that outliers, and let's see like how it looks like. Now we don't have those dropouts, which was the case in earlier scenario, right? So it's you can do pretty much kind of like little bit thorough analysis also how things are working here. Let's see. How it's applying that outlier threshold and then trying to find out how to fill that outlier. So, and as I said, from here, either you can export that clean, but as I said, we are not working on one file. We want to use it for multiple such data samples, sorry, multiple such Excel files. So the best thing will be like generating script, right? So I will write here like clean and save as mat file. And again, I want to use this for our next step. So I can put a little bit nice name here. Let's say like clean data.